Hey guys, Retro Gamer Maniac here, and in today's video I wanted to show you some of my PlayStation 2 horror games that I have in my collection. So I'm a huge PlayStation 2 fan. I grew up playing the PlayStation 2. It's actually the very first system I ever bought for myself with my own money. I went and worked a bunch of jobs at school and was able to make some money to buy the PS2. And I wanted to show you the PS2 horror games I have in my collection. Some of them are not officially horror games, but they have themes or gameplay aspects that fit really well into the horror genre. So I'm going to go ahead and show you those, and we're going to start off with a few of the common games I have, ones that aren't rare, and then we'll gradually work our way into some of the more uncommon and rare games. So first up on the list, now this is a game that was actually sent to me by Radical Reggie, a friend of mine, YouTuber. Make sure you check him out. I'm sure you already know about him. And he's actually watching him in Metal Jesus is kind of what got me into collecting for PS2 horror. But anyways, the first game is the X-Files. So the X-Files it's a Resident Evil clone, but it has the story from the X-Files and the characters, and it's actually a really good game. And this one I don't think is too expensive yet, but it is going up in price. But the X-Files is called Resist or Serve, and it's Resident Evil with X-Files, and I'm a big fan of the X-Files. My wife and I watch a lot of X-Files. I forgot what season we made it to, but we got to catch back up on it, but pretty good game. So next up is one that I did a series where I played through this, and it's actually been making a comeback via emulators and an online service, but it's Resident Evil Outbreak File 2. Now I have File 1 somewhere, but File 2 is the one I played the most, but this one you can still play online today. If you go and watch YouTube videos and just search for it, you'll find several videos talking about how you can do that. But it's a great game, and I really wish they'd remake this game or make a game similar to it. It was really cool when it first came out, and I played a lot of it. But Resident Evil Outbreak File 2 lets you play online back in the day when it was online. Would let you play online on the PS2 and choose a character, and each character had special abilities and attributes, and it was just a great game. And I'm glad that this has kind of made a comeback, even if it's via emulation. Now next up, this one's not really a horror game, but it's pretty dark and has a lot of horror elements, so I went ahead and included it in the list, and that is Constantine on the PlayStation 2. It's a movie game, see if you can see that.
So it begins.
Movie-based game, and it's surprisingly good and surprisingly dark, and it plays kind of like Mad Max, or Max Payne, Max Payne. Now this one's more of a hack and slash, but it is a lot of fun, and these are just some of the games in my collection. I have more, but I'm not showing all of my horror games, just kind of the ones I really wanted to show. But it's Evil Dead, Fistful of Boomstick. So this one is really fun. It's a hack and slash in the Evil Dead universe. It's really fun though, and it's a funny game. Evil Dead always, those games and the TV show just has a great sense of humor.
This is my boomstick!
Next up, so this one is I think it came out shortly after Resident Evil 4, and it's a good Resident Evil clone, but it's got its own unique take on it, and it's really good. It's called Cold Fear, and I actually remember renting this one as a kid from Blockbuster or Hollywood Video, I don't remember, which this feels like a rental case. This may be, yeah, check it out. This is a Blockbuster case, so this may have been one of the ones I rented or I bought from Blockbuster. But great game, third person, it switches between third person and like a fixed camera position, so it's really cool. But you play as this secret agent on the ship, and there's been this outbreak on the ship, similar to Resident Evil Dead aim, but a really great game, underrated. This next one I actually haven't put any time into yet, but I've heard it's pretty decent. I don't even know if it's rare anymore, but Run Like Hell is, it kind of reminds me of Dino Crisis, or mixed with aliens or something in the back, xenomorphs and stuff, but pretty cool game. I have watched gameplay, but I haven't played it myself. Next up, now this one's based on a movie. This one is a good game. I have it on Xbox as well. It's called The Thing. So if you've seen the movie, it's Same thing here. Surprisingly good game, and this one I think is going up in price. So if it's something you're interested in getting, go ahead and try to get it before it skyrockets. For some reason, PlayStation 2 horror games have been going up in price like a lot. Here's another one, Extermination. Another one I haven't played much, but it does look interesting. And a lot of these are going to be Resident Evil or Dino Crisis clones. Now this one's really fun, and this one actually has co-op. So I did play through this one, and I really liked it. And it's just it's a great time if you want to have a friend come and play a survival horror game with you. It's one of the few games that lets you do that. It goes up to 2-player, and it's Obscure: The Aftermath. I don't have the first Obscure. That's one of the ones on my list I still need to get. Very good game though. This one is like Ghostbusters, but more realistic and more like an adult Ghostbusters in a way, but it's called Ghost Hunter. This one's a little pricey. I think it goes for like $60 to $80. But it's a pretty fun game. It's got very similar mechanics to how, you know, ghost busting works in the Ghostbusters movies. So now this one shot up in price a lot, so I'm glad I got it when it was cheap. I think I only paid like $12 for it, but that's Silent Hill: Shattered Memories. This one's really cool, and I think this is one of the games where, if I remember correctly, you don't actually get to fight back. You have to like run away. You have a flashlight and a camera and all that. It's kind of like what is that game called? Yeah, but you don't really get to fight back or anything. You just kind of have to run and document and look around things. It's really cool. Silent Hill: Shattered Memories. The graphics are not that great for this one, but it has some really cool weather effects with the snow because you're like stuck in this blizzard, and it's just a really good game. It's unfortunate that it's shot up so much, but this one is shot up as well. Silent Hill 4: The Room. Pretty fun game. This one's a little out there, but it is cool, and it has, you know, the Silent Hill games all vary so drastically. They have like some common themes throughout, but the gameplay for each one is so different in each one. So, Silent Hill 3. This one is actually cool because it actually is a 2-disc set, so it has the main game and then it has the soundtrack. Silent Hill 3 is probably one of my favorite Silent Hill games, and amazing graphics for the PS2 on this one. It's actually surprising playing it again, just how well the graphics hold up. Alright, next up, Silent Hill 2. It's a classic. Not much to say about it. Great game. Resident Evil: Dead Aim. This one you're supposed to use a little, you know, shooting gun for it. I forgot what it's called. The Gun Con, I think. But Resident Evil: Dead Aim takes place in the Resident Evil universe, and it's on a cruise ship. And it has some pretty decent jump scares. Not a great game, but it's a unique game, and I think it's like almost like a sequel to Resident Evil Survivor on the PS1. Pretty fun game. Now I don't have the Gun Con, so I always just play with, like, you know, analog stick, which it is playable that way, but it's not as fun. Next one up, Siren. So this is the original Siren on PS2. Very creepy game, very dark. The premise of this one is it allows you to see through your enemy's eyes. So if you can see an enemy in the distance, you can kind of like put your body and like into them and like view what they're looking at so that you can see if they see you. Really creepy. Next up, this one took forever to go up in price, but Clock Tower 3. I don't even think it's still that expensive, but Capcom Clock Tower 3. I haven't played the original Clock Towers, but this one plays like a typical survival horror game. Fatal Frame games are pretty fun. We got Fatal Frame 3. Fatal Frame 3. This one's called The Tormented. We've got Fatal Frame 2. I used to rent this one a lot from Blockbuster. And we have to have the original Fatal Frame. The one that started it all. pretty interesting game. It's called Echo Night Beyond, and you play 2044 moon colony. A horrific crash has left you separated from your fiancé, opening the door to the lunar colony. 239,000 miles from Earth, you find a desolate base haunted by the specter of those who called it home. So this one's pretty cool because it's like you're almost like an astronaut. You walk around in a suit, you can like see your breath on the visor, and you can see like apparitions and stuff. So it's a really cool premise. It's another hard game to find, but if you can find it, grab it. It's very unique. And this is actually a sequel to the original Echo Night on the PS1. Ooh. Alright, next up is one I acquired recently, and it took me a while to finally get this one, but it is Rule of the Rose, and it is complete, and it's a very unique game. You're basically an orphan going to this orphanage, and you arrive there, and there's all these little kids there, and they're like playing pranks on you, and they're basically making you do these challenges and like all these horrific things. It's kind of a sick and twisted game, but it's also very expensive and hard to find, so if you find it somewhere cheap, go ahead and grab it. Next one up is Haunting Ground. Pretty good game. This one you don't really get to fight back, but you have a dog that befriends you, or you can befriend the dog, and depending on how you treat the dog, that'll determine how well he defends you. So if you treat him like garbage, he'll probably let you get killed. Very cool game. Takes place in a castle, if I'm not mistaken. I don't really know too much about it. I've played through it some, but it's an interesting game. It's one I've been wanting to play through, but also want to do it on like a live stream. So been kind of holding off on it. Next one up, this is a very dark, creepy game, and probably the hardest one to find that I have. That is Kuan. Kind of reminds me of the Grudge, but very dark survival horror Japanese game. It's actually made by H-Tech, which, if I'm not mistaken, Echo Night Beyond is also made by H-Tech. So H-Tech is the company that makes some of the Armored Core games back in the day. Yeah, but Kuan, very cool. I'm glad to have this one in my collection. Very dark, twisted game. Something about PlayStation 2 horror games I just really enjoy. But anyways, that's a look at some of my PlayStation 2 horror games. What are some that you have? Leave it in the comment section below. What are some that you're still trying to get? For me, I'm still trying to get the original Obscure game on the PS2. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, hit that like button, and we will see you on the next one. See ya.